Hello, everyone. This is Runin and Talt, and this is the first video of our broadcast. We're two millennial dads out in the world with kids and concerned Canadians about what's going on, and we just wanted to, just talk about the issues that are going on, and maybe even talk about the cultural shifts that are happening and just have a good time. And so that's and by the way, I'm Runin. And Talt, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm Salt, and I guess the biggest thing as well is hopefully you guys will enjoy these conversations and want to participate in the future.
Yeah, and just to let you know how our format's going to work out, we'll take a few postings or news articles throughout the week, one to two articles, and we'll just talk about the issues of them. And yeah, we might also do some cultural fun, nerdy things or other cultural events that are kind of happening and talk about those. And yeah. So yeah, Talt, what's the first topic for tonight?
I think a good one to kind of start off is the seat projection that's happening right now. As anybody
uh,
that's paid attention to like anything that's going on in the news right now, the Conservative Party is basically thrashing the the Liberals and the NDP in seat projections, and it's not looking good for the Liberals.
oh, come on. 204? That's not too high, right? That's
Of
not a
course
super
not.
majority, right?
I mean, at this point, it's kind of sad because in a short time, Justin Trudeau actually went and flipped because obviously the Liberals were had lost their official opposition spot, and now the fact that in what like 8 short years has it been
Yeah, eight
that
years.
that basically he's killed off his party again.
Well, I guess the question is like, yes, I do agree that he's probably obviously it's the downfall of the liberals and the rise of the conservative party, but maybe this was always inevitable with the liberals, right? Like maybe they were put on life support with Trudeau's happy face or smug face that people kind of just fell in love with the idea of Trudeau, but his party was always on a deathbed.
Well, I think the biggest thing is back in when Trudeau first came to power, a lot of people were just sort of tired of Stephen Harper at that point,
Oh, totally.
and the media had framed the conversation that the conservatives were crooked, and we needed basically this new party to bring transparency and honesty into the House of Parliament or
Yeah,
the House.
they had to stop the $16 orange juice scandals from happening, right? God, I miss
Yeah,
I
I
miss
know.
those old scandals, don't you?
Well, the other thing is, he was so he basically pushed that whole sunny ways type of situation that
Yep.
everything was going to be better now, and the sun was coming out, and a lot of people. So to be transparent, back in was it like 2016 when he first ran? Was
Yep.
it 2016 or no? Yeah, okay,
2015.
2016,
2015.
2015. Thank you. Uh, Part of his plan was a huge investment in infrastructure, and for someone like me, I thought that was actually a much needed situation because I don't know if most people know about the situation in Canada, but it's the same in the States where, our infrastructure is crumbling at this point. Like most of it was built in the 1950s and
Yeah.
really has not been upgraded or kept up to standards in lots of places.
Well, our
But
roads are falling apart. Our electrical grids are, you know, aren't can't carry the load of what they're
yeah,
being ambitious about with like electric vehicles. Sewers, water, like it's all kind of crumbling. And yeah, I agree with you when of course I didn't vote for Trudeau even back when he was saying all these things, but I did agree that oh yeah, let's work on these issues of like these systematic issues that we've ignored for like 30, 40 years of letting this infrastructure crumble. Yeah, I agree with you. That was a good idea. Yeah, okay, we're going to do it. But what happened?
mhm, yeah. It's I mean there has been some investment, but it has been nowhere near what is actually needed. And like I also understand that, like investing in infrastructure is not like the fancy things that are going to get
No.
voters to come out and, like sing your praise, but it is a necessary type of investment that needs to be done.
Well,
But yeah,
that's the thing. It's all about what's sexy, what's gonna
yeah,
sell,
exactly.
what's the voters gonna, they're not gonna be looking at being like, hey, we're updating the sewer lines.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's like, how does that influence my everyday? Like, of course it does, but people, they don't look at that and think, oh yeah, we need to update those things, right?
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of, I would say, very ignorant when it comes to how poorly our infrastructure is at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe the United States and us, like one EMP could basically wipe out our entire electrical grid at this point, and
Yep.
we would be so completely, you know, SOL that,
Well, even
I
even
mean,
even even like a storm, like a solar storm, right? Which is not unheard of. Hitting Earth and frying electrical, like it would blow out the transformers, and we don't have enough transformer like backup transformers to install, right? So yeah, like this is the thing. Um, I guess bringing it back. So why do you think the conservatives are now like why do you think the conservatives are gonna be are more popular, might win those 200 seats?
because they're even alluring the NDP. The NDP is switching from the NDP to the Conservatives.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because the Conservatives at this point are the ones that are talking about actually doing something about the housing crisis. And I mean,
Well, it's not. I don't even think it's just a housing crisis. Like how many times have we seen Polyev, in he's going to union shops. He's going to the blue collar, individual, and they're cheering him on. And that used to be NDP's stronghold, and now it's the NDP has completely detached from that area, right?
well, a lot of it, yes, the NDP are so focused on a certain set of politics that they've moved away from their original base, which
Oh
was the
yeah.
working class, which, supported them and kept them in a position for God knows how many years at this point. And
Well,
yeah, now you're seeing basically union leaders that are like, I'm out of this. I'm heading over to the Conservatives,
well, I
and
I
en
don't know.
masse as
I don't
well.
know if it's the leadership. Like I think the leadership is stuck in that cult of, progression no matter what, and we have to always be on the new side of everything. I think it's the rank and file workers who have been left behind by by
I
the
think
uh,
that's a good point.
the leadership, right? You
Yeah,
know, like let's be honest, like me, and we've known each other for our new listeners out there. Talt and I have been friends for years, for
yeah.
for decades, and I used to be an NDP voter. I used to care about what the NDP stood for, and now I'm looking at the conservatives and I'm going, wait a minute, this he's saying things that are what the NDP used to stand for and what the NDP used to fight for. What they cared about was the family. What they cared about was a good paying job, a house that you could afford, and a good life. But now, it's yeah, it's just kind of nuts to me that's
Yeah,
just changed so much. Like I don't like obviously I'm gonna vote conservative in this round, um, but I never imagined I ever would vote conservative.
I mean, it's the same deal with me that I never thought that I would be at the point where I'm voting conservative, but it's the standard of living at this point within Canada has decreased so rapidly
Yeah.
that you have a lot of people that had very comfortable lives all of a sudden now that are starting to feel the pinch on where the economy actually is. And when you have a government and a coalition government to some regards with the
Oh,
NDP and the
it,
Liberals,
it's a coalition government. A really
yeah.
poor coalition government because Yagmeet should have gotten himself. He should have been the minister of something, minister of finance or minister like out of the history of all coalitions, I've never seen a political party not ask for a cabinet seat, and he didn't
Well,
ask
they
for one.
basically prostrated themselves in many
Oh, totally.
regards.
Oh, totally.
Like, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, if in order for him to prop up the government, he could have very well have asked to have been a minister
Yep.
and, had more bargaining power. But for them, their biggest achievement was getting a dental program that only really helped a small portion of the population.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, and there's the things, right? Like we talk about how great free healthcare is, which the idea of free healthcare I actually agree with. But then you introduce this dental program, and you say, well, it's not free, it's not provided for everyone, and it's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
well, there are people who make good money, not you know, yeah, they make good money, but they could use a little help. They could be like, oh, I've saved dental care, because not all the businesses offer free dental care. A lot do, but not like once you get higher up. Some don't. And the dental care is still extremely expensive when even with a program.
Part of me kind of thinks that they use this as a wedge issue and
Yeah.
pushed it so that way people that were against this program seemed like they were being difficult or unfair or discriminatory against the people that were receiving it. But in order to actually have a functioning system and a fair system, ideally you want to have everybody under the same type of umbrella.
Yeah.
Like part of it, even with the healthcare system,
Mhm.
one things I think absolutely shocks me is hearing from my friends in the States that are like, yeah, going to the doctor basically bankrupts you. And
Well,
there's a good chance that, like you go see a doctor and you have some type of underlying issue, and all of a sudden now you're paying tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket.
well, dude, did you see that news article? And I know we're kind of and just for the viewers, we tend to jump around a lot because it's all connected. But there was a news article out of British Columbia that this woman had cancer, and she was told that she had 2 months to 2 years to live, and the healthcare system in BC was like, we're not going to help you. We can't give you the life-saving treatment you
Yeah.
need. And she had some friends, went to Taiwan, or talked to a friend in Taiwan, and then she got treatment in the United States for $200,000. Guess what? She's still living.
Yeah.
Or, she's still doing well. And she just got married, good on her. And what did they do when she came back after the treatment? They offered her a maid.
Maids. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know people have their issues with maid and stuff, and some support it obviously, and some don't. But it's just like I think this is completely out of the realm. Like you can see a healthcare crisis here where that's the treatment is death. You know?
I I think it's kind of a difficult situation because, it comes back to the whole situation where in Canada generally it's the whole idea of preventative type of medicine in order to prevent serious long-term disabilities or complications. And in
Yeah.
the States it's very much like a reactive type of medicine where something happens to you and you just slap down a whole bunch of money and they fix you. But for the
Yeah.
vast majority of people, I mean, I would not want to be one that have the healthcare that a lot of the Americans do. Like, I get
Oh,
it
oh,
that there
yeah.
are
No.
packages and everything like that,
No.
but what I'm saying is like,
I
like I can remember when I had almost no money and family, and some type of illness or sickness happens, and how would you recover from that type of
No,
situation?
I and and I'm not getting mad. Like I'm not getting mad at saying that we should get rid of free healthcare and we should have the exact same system as the Americans. I don't think that that's the
Mhm.
solution either.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think healthcare is a net benefit to society and should be the access should be accessible to all, and it shouldn't bankrupt you to go and get the treatment that you need. It's just what we're doing right now. I don't think it's working. Like
Well,
I don't think the healthcare system is efficient and actually is trying to heal people. I think that's the problem, right?
I think the issue is that the healthcare system is broken in many regards.
Yeah.
And while I don't have, any type of thought about how to really fix it, because I think it's a very difficult situation, like the fact that I think the worst part is that when she got back, they called and offered her
Yes.
maid.
Yes. That I and that's the part that I agree with, right? Is she got back, she got treated, and she was called to be like, "Hey, do you want maid?" And I think the ridiculous part here is she like I don't know if you've seen other articles, and I know that they're out there, but other articles about how Canada is now the number one organ donor country in the world
I
through
have
MAID.
heard rumors about that, yeah.
It's just ghastly to me. Like I'm not against it. I'm not against organ donation if you're a dying person, but you can see that there's a creation of almost a like a organ harvesting process within our
Yeah, an
healthcare
organ
system.
market.
Yeah, it's an organ market where it's just like you as a person are not valuable enough for us to do treatment, but we love to have your organs afterwards. It just
It's a
it
hard situation, and
I
and
know.
I think
I
the
know.
worst part is like there's there obviously must be some type of oversight, but that oversight is failing in many regards because Made itself has, I think, expanded beyond what its initial
Yes.
scope was. Because
Yes.
its initial scope was for individuals that had such horrible um,
Well,
diseases or like a horrible situation that
yeah.
there, truth be told, that there was no end of it, and that they were basically giving the individual a
Well,
choice to be able to get out of it. But
I
it's gone. Yeah, sorry, go for
Oh
it.
no, no, you go ahead. You finish. You finish.
I was just gonna say, like, the fact that we're at the point now where they are offering it so freely
Yeah.
and in such uh, sort of like such you know ways that it seems that they don't really understand what their mandate actually is. I think
Yeah.
it's very frightening.
Well, and that's the thing for me, right? Like I think what it was, like I think the original concept was someone is on a deathbed, you know that they're gonna die, you know the doctor's gonna, overprescribe morphine or whatever to kill them, by mistake. I put that in quotation marks, right? I think that they were trying to be like, well, obviously someone who's in pain at this point, maybe we should be offering them assisted, assisted death. Um, and I think in this case, it's yeah, I think it's just it's funny, you think of the slippery slope fallacy, and
Yeah.
this one fits it, where it's just like, yeah, this is accurate. Now we're looking at, you know, it just going deep, just going down a darker path. But maybe we should move on from Made, because I think that's a whole nother topic that we could talk to for 20
Probably a couple
minutes.
of hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, more than 20 minutes or 30 minutes. What's our next topic? I know that we kind of jumped around on the seat projection, but do we want to go to another article to talk about?
Yeah, well, we kind of covered one of them, which was the soaring Canadian house cost, but maybe we
Sure.
should talk a little bit more about something like that, because I think this is one of the situations that has most Canadians kind of up in arms about. And this is also, like one of the biggest reasons why the Liberals are falling so quickly in the polls. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so basically, one of the big issues right now is just the cost of living within Canada. Housing costs is at I almost want to say like a monstrous type of proportions with probably the rest of the world, where even in remote communities you can't really get a house for under $600,000.
Well, where I live, it's the
Yeah, even
houses
higher.
are yeah, the houses around here are in the millions of dollars. Like how like, and they're not nice houses. Like I don't know, when we were growing up, we think of $1 million house, we think of like Home Alone.
Yeah.
We think of
Hmm.
that mansion house that he had
Yep.
with the huge property. Like that was $1 million in my eyes. And some of the houses now in Vancouver is a prime place to see this, where Pierre Polyev said this. It's like it's a shack.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
shack, and it's a million
Anybody
bucks.
like even look at Toronto, like there are
Oh yeah.
literal shacks that have been sold for million like in either 800,000 plus to like over a million. And
Well,
people are
and
so desperate at this point.
I guess the thing is like, what do you think caused it? Like obviously, immigration I think is one, but like, do you think there's other?
Speculation.
What was that?
Speculation.
You think it's
The fact
speculation?
I think a huge part of it is speculation and the idea that houses are now investments that can
Yeah,
give you like a return.
right. What about
And you have go for
like
it.
building materials and stuff? Like, do you think that has any
So
influence to it?
I have been told that yeah, that the cost of building a house has gone up,
Yeah,
and also, the labor cost has gone up as well.
yeah.
But I don't know, like I can't really say because I'm not super informed about the cost of actually building a house, but I mean, I don't know. Like, it could probably all be playing a part in it.
Yeah, maybe it's a multifaceted issue, right? Oh, well, maybe it goes back to our conversation earlier about the investment in infrastructure. Where
Yeah,
it's just been neglected for so long, and we're now hitting that wall to be like, okay, we didn't really invest in areas where we could expand our country. And I don't know if you've seen, but like it's always about how do we solve the problem in Vancouver? How do we solve the problem in Toronto? How do we solve the problem in Montreal or whatever? Um, Instead of actually saying, well, maybe we should incentivize people to get out of these cities.
I think that's a huge part of it as well. I think
Like,
that I, I don't want to kind of like um I guess the biggest thing is like you have people that are migrating over to Canada,
yeah,
and many of them are only ever going to live in the large cities that are
yeah,
already at this point overpopulated
yeah.
and do not have the an adequate supply of housing. And it's only exasperated even more when more and more people come over because we're at the point of what, 500,000 people a year, I think,
Well,
or
we
500,000 plus at this point with immigration.
it's gonna be 500. I think we brought in like 1.2 last year.
When,
Like
yeah, I can believe it.
it was it was a ridiculous number. And like once again, I think Canada needs immigration. It just it's weird to me that Canada is the second largest country on this planet, and 80% of our population lives in the Greater Toronto area,
Yeah.
and we're not incentivizing people like to go like we're not incentivizing people to go to smaller towns, revitalizing them, putting down roots instead of just in putting them onto the either into the streets or into the their own enclave of other immigrants. I think that's kind of scary.
But the other thing is that a lot of these people don't want to go over to smaller communities because their community is where they're at that point, and they don't want to lose those type of connections. And like
Yeah,
I can kind of
yeah.
understand it. But I'm 100% in the camp that you are, that the Canadian government needs to incentivize individuals to, like, not even immigrants, but like other Canadians as well, to basically start looking about more some of the more rural communities, or possibly create new communities as
Well,
well that might be able to build up the housing and the foundations in order to
well, that's the thing.
um
You know,
provide for them.
it's like Field of Dreams, where it's just
Yeah.
like build it and they will come. Why isn't government building the suburb, infrastructure, as we talked earlier, the infrastructure to get developers to be like, yeah, I want to build 100 homes or 200 homes or 300 or 500, whatever. Like I think, what there's lots of places that a lot of smaller communities where okay, government comes in, let's build the roads, let's build the sewer, let's build the water, let's build the electrical demand, let's build the commercial spaces, right? Because I think we got to also look at like you don't want to live in an area that doesn't have grocery stores and stuff like that, right? Like I
Hmm.
don't understand why they're not trying to. They're just saying build more towers, get more people to congregate in only one small area, and it's just like that's not Canada. Canada is supposed to be, we're supposed to have that a little bit more space. We don't have to be like New York. We don't have to be like Los Angeles. We don't have to have, these Soviet style blocks of concrete. We can have the beauty of our country and we can spread out a little bit and incentivize people to come out. Like I think there's a lot of people in our age group or our generation and even in the younger generations that they're looking at it and being like, I don't think I'm going to own a home. Once if government said, look, move out here, we'll
Yeah.
incentivize you to come out here, right?
Well, the sad part is, even in the smaller communities, you just don't have that investment that is needed, and they know they need that type of investment. Like, a
Yeah.
good example would be the community that I live in, where you know the city and the government tried to start some type of like new, basically prepare new areas for housing development, and then you had a whole bunch of people that said, "Not in my backyard."
Oh yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, the government was afraid because obviously they're reliant upon votes and keeping people happy, so they just scrapped it. And 5 years later, which would have been the proper amount of time to get that foundation
Yeah.
started, now people are going, well, where's the houses?
Well,
And you want to say to those people, like, you voted it down. Like they
Well,
were going to do that, but you didn't actually like you basically raised a complaint about it.
yeah. Well, I think there's a happy medium you have to be aware of, right? Like I don't know if you saw what happened in British Columbia with the new laws that they just introduced. They got rid of single family lots. All the city planning for all the cities in British Columbia, you have to have the option of building towers
Really?
everywhere. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Oh my God.
yeah. So it's just like I get that there's like the people are like I don't build anything in my backyard. I don't want the towers. I don't want it. I don't want densification. Blah blah blah. Okay. And now it's just switched to you can build as many towers as you want. You could turn all of these nice neighborhoods and build 30 stories, 20 stories. So
I
I
think
think
one of
oh go ahead.
go for it.
No, you go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, I think for many people that are our age group and younger, the idea of actually owning a single dwelling house at this point is almost impossible.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
with the rate that the mortgage rates
Oh, yeah,
are
yeah.
and
Well,
how they're definitely tightening the belt when it comes to lending, a lot of
yo, yeah.
people there's no way that you can qualify unless
Well,
you are in very specific fields that pay quite well. You're kind
oh,
of
yeah.
SOL.
Well, and this is the thing that drives me nuts is that um the like okay, I understand there especially if you want to live in a city center. Say you don't want to move out to the boonies. I get it. I understand. And there's certain places that are really hard to get out of it because they got the social life, they got the amenities that you're used to, right? And moving to the middle of nowhere can be difficult. The problem is that okay, maybe they can't own a house, but what about like a condo that could actually be big enough to have a family in? Like if you, I don't know if you've seen, but like a lot of the condos that they're building across this country are 1 to 2 bedroom, six, seven
Yeah.
hundred feet condos, which is not,
Yep.
it's not inducive to actually be like, I'm gonna start a family in here, you know?
One thing that I really liked in Japan was that there were a lot of apartment buildings that were actually two floors.
Yeah,
So you would have one floor basically that would be your living area, and then you'd have like a second floor
yeah,
that was your actual like sleeping area and etc. And it was large enough that in many regards that you could actually have a family and raise it there.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, like, how are you supposed to have? And one of the biggest things that we do actually need is to increase our citizen rate.
yep.
But how do you do that if you make it so that your population can't afford to have kids? Because that's one of the biggest complaints that I hear from a
Well,
lot of people our age and younger, where they're like,
yeah,
I don't have the funds. I'm not ready
yeah.
to have kids
Well,
because I'm not financially stable.
Well, this is the thing. Like, to be honest with you, like, I don't know that this is about your situation, but like, I would love to have more kids. I just can't afford it, and I don't have the
Yeah,
space for it. You
yeah,
know?
that's kind of the sad part. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
I think my house is actually quite spacious, but yeah, like that's the one thing that me and my
yeah.
wife have kind of talked about where
Yep.
you're like, holy crap, we kind of outgrew this place.
Well, it's not just it's like the house, yes, but like if you have like I got 2 kids, right? And so like if you have 3 kids or 4 kids, like not only do you need a bigger house with bigger space, but you need to get a new car. Well, that's going to cost you 60, $70,000 to get a minivan, right? Like it changes your whole, you know, options of like what's out there, right? Like there's no incentive to have more kids. It actually gets more detrimental for you to have more kids in this country because it costs more because you need to do
I
all of
actually
these things.
I think that's like a lost opportunity on the Canadian government. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
should very much open up a program
Well,
that incentivizes couples, married
yeah.
couples or whatever, however they want to kind of grade it, and give incentives to actually have kids. Like for example,
Yep.
one of the things that kind of popped into my head was that, it doesn't really matter who's the one that goes and works, but have
Yep.
an incentive for someone in the family to be a stay-at-home parent,
Yep.
and they receive like like a stipend or a wage or something
Well,
that would be lucrative enough to have people stay home and take care of their kids, and that would cut down on daycare costs, schooling costs, all that
and
type of stuff.
And fair enough. And I think a good example to look at where this might be successful is Poland.
Yep,
Poland's have like you have 3 kids, you no longer have to pay income tax for the rest of your life.
yep.
Like
You did your civic duty
Yeah,
by
you did your
having more
civic
kids.
duty. You never have to pay taxes again. Really? Great. I'm never gonna
Yep.
pay taxes again. Like for the woman, I think that's great. Um, yeah, like I think those are the kind of incentives, or yeah, like you said, stip in. Well, we kind of do that with the child, but we do it so poorly, right? Like we don't,
Yeah.
we don't emphasize that, the citizenry. We just think, oh, we'll just import it, right? Which I don't
Well,
think
that is
is,
that is their plan. That they
yeah.
basically want to. I mean, we all kind
But
of know the
but
situation with like
yeah,
the pension plan
oh
and
yeah,
how reliant upon a bigger population in order to support the current population that's on the pension plan.
yeah,
But they didn't have enough kids, so
yeah,
how do you fix that? Bring
yeah.
in more
We're
people.
at time. I think this is a pretty good first video that we put together. Um, but yeah, I think we'll probably have to end it there. So just to let you know, we'll be changing, or we'll be doing this every week on Monday for 30 minutes, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.